Let's bring in Mike Mcgarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Well, Mike, another Sixer story on another day. It seems like they are the gift that keeps on giving the whole content year.
Yeah, and talking about that last guy, the last text you read, boy, if you can't be negative about a 2-11 team, I don't think that's Negadelphia. I think that's reality right there. The Sixers have been awful so far this season and given us no reason to think that they can turn it around anytime soon.
Well, what is your takeaway from what happened after the game on Monday night, and then how it maybe impacts this season moving forward?
Well, a couple things. First of all, I think it just continues what I really look at as a bizarre stretch for Joel Embiid, dating back to when the knee injury happened. I believe, last January. He has a surgery. He comes back. He plays in the playoffs against the Knicks. He has some good playoff games. He has some not so good playoff games. He has that incident with Mitchell Robinson's ankle, a few bizarre sort of, happenstances like that. Then he goes to the Olympics. He spends a lot of his time at the Olympics, interacting with the crowd, asking them to boo him, this and that. He basically plays one good half at the Olympics, does not look good. Okay, helps the United States earn a gold medal. Then he comes back to the here. He doesn't participate in training camp. He doesn't scrimmage. He misses the start of the season, gets into a fight with a reporter, and then gets called out by Tyrese Maxey, all the while playing maybe some of the worst games he's ever played as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. So it just continues what is a bizarre stretch for Joel Embiid, and quite frankly, at this point, is a worrisome stretch for Joel Embiid and his basketball future.
Well, when you said something that stands out, he's not playing well. He certainly doesn't look like himself. Is there concern with that, or do you think this is just part of the ramping up?
No, I'm concerned about it. I mean, it better be part of the ramping up, or that knee better be hurt. Because if it's not, the Sixers have bigger problems. Here's the other thing about what happened the other night, right? There's a couple of troubling things that happened. They hold the team meeting, right? And Tyrese Maxey feels compelled to call out Joel Embiid during the meeting for being late, not being on time, and the impact that has on your teammates. Well, reading between the lines, what does that say to me? That doesn't mean Joel Embiid was late once. It doesn't mean Joel Embiid was late twice. It doesn't mean Joel Embiid was late 3 times. For Tyrese Maxey to feel the need to call out an MVP player and the guy who was supposed to be the best player on the team, that says to me that Embiid's, attentiveness to detail is not even close to where it should be. Because if it just happened once in a while, they'd let Embiid go. It would be no problem. You think LeBron James is on time for everything the Lakers do? No. But if you're chronically late, it's an issue. So that's issue one. Then the fact that it gets leaked to the media to sort of drive the whole point home again is even more of a danger sign. So, we can debate it, go back, but I just can't help but think, but this goes back to the process, the start of the process, and name me one guy connected with the Philadelphia 76ers since the process began who's come out with their reputation enhanced and not diminished by their time in Philadelphia. The only thing I can think of is the guard T.J. McConnell, who comes up the bench for the Indiana Pacers. Everybody else who has been associated with the Philadelphia 76ers since 2013, Brett Brown, Sam Hinkie, Brian Colangelo, Ben Simmons, now it's happening Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Doc Rivers. Nobody leaves here with people thinking higher of them than when they arrived. And it's happening now with Embiid.
That's an interesting thought there. Yeah, which guys have left here and actually turned out to be better than anticipated? Maybe T.J. McConnell would be the other.
Guy arrived here or got drafted and left 4 or 5 days or 4 or 5 years later, be it a coach, be it a general manager, be it a player, and left us thinking of higher than them when they arrived. It ain't Markelle Fultz. It's not Dario Saric. It's not Nerlens Noel. It's not Jahlil Okafor. It's not Michael Carter-Williams. It's not Sam Hinkie. It's not Doc Rivers. It's not Brett Brown. Now Nick Nurse. We're starting to hear people chirp about Nick Nurse. He arrived here. He's supposed to be one of the best coaches in the NBA. Now people are chirping about him. It's certainly not Simmons. It's not Embiid. Maybe it's Jimmy Butler. Okay, maybe Jimmy Butler is the one guy, and T.J. McConnell is the other guy. But everybody else has been tarnished by their time in Philadelphia, and right now it's happening to Embiid.
Yeah, Mike Mcgarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Interesting take there. Some of the other stuff that came. So Maxey apparently challenges and calls out Joel Embiid and says, look, you need to be on time. You've got to be at everything. Here we go. All right. So other stuff that came out of this, though, was that the team told Nick Nurse they want to be coached harder. If you're a coach and you hear that, is that a positive or a negative?
Well, I think it's they're kind of taking a passive-aggressive shot at you, right? They're kind of telling the coach then when they say coach us harder, what they're saying is, I read that between the lines, is you're not doing a good job of coaching us right now. Now you'll notice that the coaches responded, well, you guys need to practice harder, basically. So, the coaches came right back at them. Look, Mike, I think this centers around one big factor. I mean, winning is a skill. It's just like, shooting a basketball, hitting a baseball, throwing a football. Winning is a skill. And some guys, some teams, and some programs know how to win. Like Mike Tomlin, coach of the Steelers, he knows how to win. Every year it seems like the Steelers are in the playoffs or on the verge of the playoffs. I don't know if Joel Embiid has ever learned how to win and what it takes to win. Now, there are a lot of people that suggested, hey, Joel, go play in the Olympics because you'll be around LeBron James. You'll be around Steph Curry. You'll be around guys who have won NBA titles before. And maybe you can pick up some of those habits, and maybe you can bring them back to Philadelphia, and you can help the Philadelphia 76ers win. But if you look at Embiid's career, going back to high school, he went to Mount Verdi, which is a superstar prep school, which is basically about player development. He spent a year at Kansas for a Kansas team that underachieved. Then he comes to Philadelphia, and they say, don't rush back, don't play, heal the injuries. We want to lose more than we win. I don't know if anybody has ever sat down and taught Joel Embiid how to win. And winning means showing up on time and doing the little things. And that's what Maxey's telling them in that room. Hey, you're not doing the little things to help us win. And the number one little thing of all time is showing up on time.
Well, it's funny you say it because I've said the same thing about the Olympics. I'm saying, listen, here's a guy who has been the MVP. He's been at times the best player in the league, yet has had so many shortcomings when it has come to the playoffs. Okay, why not go around these other guys and maybe rubbing elbows with them can help get him over the top? Yet it seems he came back a lesser player.
Yeah, it seems like he came back, with worse habits than when he went to the Olympics in the first place. When I look at Embiid and just even his comments, the other comment the other day, I want to play him back-to-backs, but I'm a troll, stuff like that. Look, this stuff might have been cute when he was 20, 21, 22, but he's 30 years old now. He's on the downside of his career, especially for a big man with a history of injuries. And it just goes back to something I've always thought about him is he's competitively immature. And I don't think he understands what it takes to win. He is a brilliant player, but he just has not been able to break through. And, the other thing that's, Maxey calls him out the other night. Let's go back to that playoff series against Boston of 2 years ago, where in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, P.J. Tucker had to pull him aside and just sort of pump him up. Here's a guy who's supposed to be the MVP, one of the top 5 players in the NBA, the center of your franchise. And in a key playoff game 2 years ago, you got P.J. Tucker having to read you the riot act, and now you're up to a 2-11 start, and you got Tyrese Maxey reading you the riot act after a game, and then reporters go up to you after a game and say, what about that meeting we just had? And you say something like, do we have a meeting? I don't know. I just think Embiid's act around here is getting thin. Now, you're not trading him. You're not trading Joel Embiid anytime soon. Like you said, you can't trade him because of the extension that he had just signed. So you're not trading him anytime soon. But, boy, this is headed right now towards a bad place or a bad ending, and the Sixers better figure out a way to turn it around soon.
All right, Mike Mcgarry from the Press of Atlantic City. You just said it there. They got to find a way to turn it around soon. So is your anticipation, Mike, Maxey looks like he's going to play tonight, Joel Embiid, Paul George, the three of them back on the floor. Did we overvalue this team, and that's why they're 2-11, or should this steady the ship and get them moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, good question, and I reserve the right to to judge after I see it for a little bit. I have doubts about it right now. When they did it in the offseason, when they signed it, I, along with many others, said, hey, Daryl Morey really pulled this off. The Sixers had one of the best off seasons. Look at this, Maxey, Paul George, Embiid. Three top players. This is a pretty good combination. Do I think they're going to beat the Celtics? No, but do I think they can be one of the best teams in the East and win more than 50 games? Absolutely. But with the way Embiid has looked, with the way Paul George has looked, and quite frankly, with the way Maxey shot the ball at the start of the season, put me down as in, I got to see it. I got to see 2 to 3 weeks of solid basketball, and then I'll get back on board. Couldn't they turn it around? Obviously. And what we talked about a million times, the rest of the NBA East Conference is off to a slow start, so they're not as buried as 2-11 would have made them in the normal season. But, yeah, I'm in the show-me factor now. I'm not taking any assumptions whatsoever. They're going to have to show me with a 2 to 3 week solid stretch and 4 or 5 wins in a row. Then I'll believe it, because they've given me no reason to have faith in any of them right now.
Mike Mcgarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Sixers and the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. That game starts at 8 p.m. So much surrounding this team, and, of course, we're all going to see for the first time, it looks like anyway, Maxey return, George and Embiid, and maybe tonight they can start to push this stuff behind them. But, of course, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. Mike will be back on Friday to give us some thoughts, because they'll be playing Brooklyn on Friday, the Clippers on Sunday. So an interesting week ahead for the Sixers. All right, buddy, we'll talk to you then.
All right, we'll see you down the road, Mike.
All right, Mike Mcgarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, their columnist. He joins me each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Sports Bash.